Well, hello everyone. It's really lovely to meet you all, if virtually, and great to have an opportunity to sort of tell you a little bit about our journey and what we have learnt, and what we're also learning at the current time as well. So the organisation that I am very privileged to be chief executive of now, actually, I was originally the founding chair of, and when we were set up back in 2007 as Hertfordshire Community Meals. Now, the sort of the hint about what we do is there. It was a meal business, and it was set up to actually try and provide Meals on Wheels in Hertfordshire. So, as with most social businesses, there was a need, and we thought a social enterprise was a great way to address it. So, we got some startup support from the county council, and just really launched into the business. And we did everything that I think as leaders of businesses, you think you ought to do. We made sure that we, had some staff, we made sure we had some vehicles, we had a location, we worked out how we were going to get customers, and we grew in a reasonable way for a couple of years. Now, a lot of that growth was organic, as different district councils decided that they wanted us to take over their Meals on Wheels services. But 2 years in, we had an enormous tragedy. And actually, for me in the current time, sort of looking back on that tragedy has made me really think about how we as entrepreneurs deal with adversity. So I'll take you back to that time. It was 2 days before Christmas in 2009. And I had a phone call from one of the team members first thing in the morning saying that something had happened to our chief executive. I went to the site and tried to find out more, and we discovered that actually our chief executive had been appallingly murdered by her husband. And that sort of huge crisis was something that was utterly unexpected and that we really hadn't planned for at all. We'd certainly put on our risk register that our chief executive may go off and get another job, and we felt that we had, 3 to 6 months of planning time, but all of a sudden we were in the midst of an enormous crisis. So we had to deal with the fallout of that, national murder investigation, really, really difficult circumstances, and the emotional fallout on staff. And again, I think that's something which we're currently experiencing, individuals going through a lot of emotional trauma. To cut a very long story short, managed to get the business sort of stabilized a bit, but then 2 months in, we discovered that there was no money in the bank and we couldn't pay anyone. So again, we had to go through a massive time of reorganization. I was doing it all as a volunteer at the time while sort of working elsewhere, but managed to change the whole business model, renegotiate everyone's contracts, and really try to save the business and start again. So I think the learning that we took from that happening as a business right in those early days was not to waste a crisis. And that's something which we are going through at the current time again, sort of accepting that something very negative is happening, but then trying to use it to try and bring good and to try and make changes that probably needed to be changed. On a personal level, I also learned that you should open yourself up to new opportunities. And again, I think lots of us sort of have a plan for how we think our life is going to go and what we think we're going to be doing next. Well, I never planned to become the chief executive of a business. I was actually a business and management lecturer, and I was very happily doing that. Really enjoyed my interaction with students and loved seeing people learn. I was chairing several businesses, but chairing a business is quite different to being in an executive function. But sometimes things open up before us. And I think that when they do, it is right that we sometimes welcome those opportunities and, go towards new things. Now, I didn't actually have the skills to run a business. I knew quite a lot in theory, but I'd never done it in reality. But what I've learned is that you can pick up lessons and you can learn things as you go. So I think the other personal learning for me was not to limit ourselves by what we don't know, but to accept that we all have transferable skills and that we are almost given strength for the time. We can develop what we need to move forward. So that was the early days. Up to 2013 then, we were in a period of growing the business, and we were extending it across the whole of Hertfordshire, and again, focusing on Meals on Wheels, growing the number of staff members and the size of the business. So in the early days, when we just had 7 staff and a couple of vehicles, we'd got up to sort of really quite a large staff team, probably of around 150 by then. Now, again, we were learning to wait. We had cheapy to deal with as we were growing the business. We had to carry on changing systems. And again, another learning for us was that when a business grows organically, it never ends up quite how you'd have designed it had you actually been able to sort of create it from scratch and determine exactly what it was going to look like. But you can still carry on changing things as you go. So I would say, don't be worried if your business is not progressing in quite the way that you would like it to look in your eventual vision, because you will get there somehow, and you can still learn during the journey. Also, during that period of growth, I would say one of the most important things that we learned was around getting the right people in the team. And as a values-based business, for us, getting people into the team that didn't necessarily have the skills, but absolutely had our core values was crucial. And in the current time, having those values is fundamental to us being able to keep going, because we believe that you can teach most skills to people. I mean, obviously, if you need an accountant, you've got to have someone with accountancy skills. But in terms of other business skills, you can train people to do different things, but you cannot really change someone's values in the way that you need to when you have to be able to call on them in a crisis, and when you really need them to be able to deliver great care. So, third stage of our business. By 2015, we'd realised that actually our business model, although successful at the time and growing well, was actually quite at risk, because our core business was Meals on Wheels. And I don't know how much all of you know about Meals on Wheels, but across the country, for about the last 10 years, Meals on Wheels has been under enormous threat. And with cuts to social care and public funding, it has been axed in many, many areas. And we sort of saw the writing on the wall for us too. So we did a couple of things. We tried to make ourselves really valuable in the area in which we were operating in Hertfordshire, so that we put ourselves in a situation where we were meeting lots of extra need. So we were really looking for the gaps in health and social care and how we could adapt to try and meet need. And also we decided that we needed to diversify our income streams. So at that stage, we started to look at what else we could do. And every day when we were out in people's houses, we were seeing so much need, so many unmet needs. So we took a decision that we would not launch new services where another organisation was fulfilling that function well. So I think one of the particular issues about being a larger charitable social enterprise is that you could, if you wanted to, probably take business from smaller organisations where they have important income streams. We decided ethically that would be the wrong thing to do. So we looked for genuine gaps and for areas where we could really add value and meet need in clients' lives. So we started to diversify. We launched a whole range of different services for people with dementia. That's supporting the home, that's supporting the community. We started to really develop services around measuring impact. So obviously our main service is delivering Meals on Wheels, but what good is Meals on Wheels if it's not improving someone's nutrition? So we developed a nutrition and wellbeing service so that we can actually measure the impact that we're having on someone and give them extra food and extra dietetic and nutritional advice if they needed it. We developed all sorts of other extra pop-in services and other support in the home, and also in community settings too, around different sort of lunch clubs and advice and support. And really try to innovate around need. So for example, whilst trying to seek new income from Sport England and Public Health, we developed an active ageing service which takes exercise into the home. Different because most exercise and strength building classes for older people are in community-based activities. Ours takes the exercise to the person, which of course is vital when people are housebound. So that has been a really useful lesson, but even through that journey, whilst we have been diversifying income, we have also been learning and not always getting things right. So for example, we haven't always contributed enough to our core costs, and that has been a challenge. We have actually lost contracts we lost a really important contract for us, which was installing community alarms and telecare. But whilst that has happened, we have been able to use the teams in other ways, keep our team members on board and retrain them to deliver other services, which are then develop new income streams too. So what's our learning through those difficult times? Well, certainly keeping the balance between social and enterprise. We have to make sure that we have the income to be able to carry on doing social good. But if we're not really measuring the social impact that we're having, and we're not focusing on the services where we can have maximum impact, then I would say we're really not social entrepreneurs, and we're not really creating the good that our types of businesses should be creating. So to come around to the current time then, well, all of a sudden, it feels as if we are in a different reality, because we, over a long period of time, decided that we were going to move from being a Meals on Wheels business to a far larger Meals on Wheels business with lots of other services involved. And all of a sudden, we have had to retrench and actually almost go back to our core. And at the moment, the only services that we're delivering are Meals on Wheels and emergency grocery packs. Along with, of course, the welfare support that we provide by checking on people daily. But there is a challenge there, because we have a workforce now of 290 people. We have quite a large infrastructure. We've got sort of 5 sites, including a site that we operate in Camden and Haringey, as well as our 4 sites in Hertfordshire. We've got a fleet of 75 vehicles or so. We've got all of these other services where actually their income streams are temporarily being put on hold. So actually going back to our core is quite challenging. So what we've done is we've just accepted our new norm, and we have decided that we are sort of re-employing all of our staff to help with our growing Meals on Wheels business. So at the moment, I think yesterday, across Hertfordshire and London, we delivered about 1,900 meals. That's in just the lunchtime period. We've been delivering hundreds and hundreds of grocery packs out to people in need too. So we have had to grow that core business. We've also developed a whole new help desk where we can be dealing with COVID-19 inquiries, both from our internal team members and external people. That whole new team has developed within about 2 weeks. We've developed an entire new volunteer team arm so that we can get volunteers in, get them trained, get them working with us as well. So we are almost developing new internal services at the current time. And by doing that, we're also sort of shoring up our income. So by really investing in our core service, we are sort of also managing future income challenges as well. But the other thing that I would say is that we are using this time, because at the moment, we are still pretty full on dealing with new guidance that's being issued every day. So our agile skills and our skills of being able to adapt very quickly have been very, very important to us. But over the next few weeks, I see us having a little bit of clear water. And in that time, we are going to positively use the space to be able to do the stuff that we just haven't had time to do over the past couple of years. We have got a list of ideas as long as your arm that we want to get onto, and we are going to be using this time to have a look at those ideas again to see whether they are needed now, but also whether they will be needed in the new world that we're all going to come to, hopefully in a few months' time, post-COVID, when we are back again looking at how we can support people in need. So we are using this time of difficulty to give ourselves space, to improve what we're doing, to retrain our teams, and to carry on providing more social good. And then I think the final thing I would say is that we are learning that leadership is not just about activity and being involved with all the stuff that as leaders we do on a daily basis. It is about having that vision and giving reassurance to team members. The example that we set about how we work and how we behave, the care that we give to our colleagues and our teams, is one of the most important things that we can do in this crisis. And that's not just for our organisation, that's for other organisations too, how we can support smaller businesses, how we can support statutory sector colleagues, how we can work with private sector businesses who may want to come in and offer support as well. So that's my very quick overview of where we've gone over this last little while, and very happy to enter into a chat.
Thank you, and thank you, Sarah, for giving us such a terrific overview, not only the development of Hills, but also bringing us right up to the present day.